That's right, The Sims 4 is dead. Thank you very much, Electronic Farts. Maxis, a company that develops The Sims, was acquired by EA in 1997. This is a common thing that EA does. Take something that's already successful, put their stamp on it, control it, and then, in my opinion, run it into the dirt, and then move on to the next game franchise to destroy. Need for Speed, a game that EA decided to ruin with loot boxes. The Simpsons game series, including the iconic Road Rage and Hit and Run, which got ruined by microtransactions. Star Wars Battlefront, again, the loot boxes. SimCity, online-only gameplay using a system that had serious network issues rendering the game unplayable. Mass Effect, ruined by EA's fetish for multiplayer gameplay. The SSX series, ruined by, okay, blah, 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 you get what I'm saying. EA seemed to have the touch of death. And we're seeing this ever so strongly, not just in The Sims 4, but in Maxis games in general. Even in the past, Maxis have always been known to be perfectionists and to take a really long time to make their games. The initial development of The Sims 4 was allegedly planned to be an online multiplayer game, but then went to shit in the controversy surrounding the development of SimCity Online, a reboot that cost SimCity its life, now literally a dead game because of EA clashing with Maxis on terms of where they wanted to actually go with the game. Spore, another Maxis game, turned out to be one of the most pirated games in the world thanks to EA's digital rights management scandal, which saw players who legally purchased the game only able to install and play the game a limited number of times, even on the same PC. Clearly, there is a huge difference in interest between Maxis and EA, and the mentality of EA pushing their agenda onto Maxis clearly is ultimately going to lead to the downfall of The Sims, in my opinion, just as it's led to the downfall of plenty of other games. The Sims 1, a game loved by so many people due to how unique it was, ended up getting a sequel. The Sims 2, a game again loved by so many people for expanding on The Sims 1 in so many ways, although being extremely cash grabby. The DLC was loved and enjoyed by most people. It's only when we get to The Sims 3 that things start getting a little bit downhill. The Sims 3 is an incredibly ambitious game, perhaps too ambitious. In fact, I even struggle to get The Sims 3 to play on my computer because of how much processing power it needs. And this is a game that was released more than 10 years ago. The game follows the exact formula as The Sims 1 and The Sims 2, selling a stripped down base game followed by DLC known as expansion packs and stuff packs. But more notable, The Sims 3 came with the Sims 3 store, a library full of assets that players can purchase to enhance the game. It works in a similar way to kits in The Sims 4. The best selling things on here include a bakery, a sunset world, a fairground, a little old mill house. Mostly it just comes with random build buy objects too. Some of this stuff is pretty cool. For example, we have a popcorn machine, or we have a baker's station, or we even have a deep fat fryer for only 542 sim points. If you're wondering, this is the equivalent of about £3 for 500 points, which is about $5 American. So yeah, $5 for a deep fat fryer. That's right, it was an absolute cash grab. I mean, even just this world, we've got the Monte Vista world for $20 American almost. And it's literally just a world with a little bit of build buy and a little bit of cash. I mean, it's fair play. A lot of this stuff is pretty cool, but just look at the price. It's ridiculous. Thankfully, in The Sims 4, we have kits. Thank you so much, EA. Now you have a new way to upsell me more crap. With EA's reputation when it comes to things like loot boxes and pay-to-win mechanics and microtransactions, it only makes sense that they go down the same route with The Sims. Interestingly, I'd say The Sims 3 is the worst Sims game for normalizing pay-to-win mechanics, but The Sims 4 is a close second. Yes, technically, you don't really pay to win The Sims 4 because you don't win in The Sims 4. It's not that kind of game because there isn't really an end goal, but the mechanics are still the same and very much prevalent. Even though it may not be pay to win, it's still pay to enjoy a life simulation game to its full potential that it should be. Weather is always something that's come in a premium with The Sims. There's a rumor that weather was meant to be implemented in the base game of The Sims 2, but because they couldn't code it in, they had to spend so much time on it, and instead of giving it us as a free update, they upsold it as a seasons pack. According to the Sims wiki, an EA employee stated that weather in The Sims 3 was meant to be a minor update with a late night pack, but again, upsold as a standalone seasons pack. This information cannot be independently verified, but it makes sense that EA would do something like this for me. Not just weather, but so many aspects of life simulation have been split into even more packs than ever into The Sims 4, boasting the largest range of DLC we've ever seen in a Sims game. And it's weird how the Sims community have just normalized paying so much much money for all this DLC. And even though people complain about it, they still buy it. I honestly get so many comments on YouTube from people saying things like, I think I have an addiction to buying Sims 4 DLC, I don't know how to stop. Or just complaining that they hate the game so much, yet they continue to buy into it and they don't know why they're continuing to buy it. Most other EA games will have tried to implement these extreme pay-to-win and microtransaction-y mechanics ended up dying because the players just didn't stand for it. But weirdly, Simmers just continue to go on buying more and more crap for this game and kicking up a fuss about it, but then still buying it. And the fact that EA are continuing to churn out DLC despite the fact that this game is more broken than ever is a very clear example to me about how they are taking advantage of people's obsession with this game, especially with the most recent game pack My Wedding Stories, which is literally horrendous and it literally does not work. Although I'm not pushing all of the blame on EA, if you buy packs knowing that they're going to be bad and knowing that you're going to hate them, that is your fault for being an absolute mug. I buy new packs because I'm a content creator, so I kind of have to because it's my job. But even then, I don't own all the packs myself. There are still some that I don't want and I will never ever have because I think they are a pile of wank. But the worst thing about all this churning out of packs is a noticeable drop in quality. Dream Home Decorator, a pack that literally just repackaged build mode in a little bit of a different way. My Wedding Stories, a pack that tried to reinvent weddings but actually made them significantly worse, and now people are actually putting mods in the game to reverse this pack because it is that bad. The Sims, once known as being one of the most innovative and creative games ever, is now being surrounded by so much controversy, and in my opinion, EA have just turned this series in a way to make money rather than to be innovative. And this is extremely evident by the drop in standards from The Sims 1 down to The Sims 4. The utter lack of features in The Sims 4, even 8 years on after being released, is insane. And it's incredibly rare for game developers to downgrade like this. Unfortunately, it's hard to say whether this exactly comes from EA or Maxis, but at the end of the day, EA owns Maxis and they have full rights to tell Maxis what to do. They are the ones who ultimately get the money, and by they, I mean the rich straight white man who basically owns EA. It's very evident to me that EA's crunch culture and unbalanced perspective on making money over good games is ruining The Sims 4. In fact, there was once a lawsuit in 2004 in which employees had sued EA for over $50 million due to overworking. This all adds to what one may consider a lack of care from EA's part. A lack of care for the employees, a lack of care for the fans, and a lack of care for the games. How much more can EA just rinse and repeat games until they are totally dried up? FIFA, a game I know absolutely nothing about because I hate sports, is a really good but extreme example of this. You think football is football, or soccer if you're American, but apparently every single year EA finds an excuse to release a new updated version of this game without really changing that much. And this is why I think the rinse and repeat money hungry crap is coming from EA, not Maxis, because it's seen across loads of EA games. Releasing a sequel that is basically the same thing as the last game is something happening across multiple EA titles, so it makes sense that it's happening with The Sims 2. What started as a game that was meant to simulate life in a way that was very goofy and funny, but also realistic, considering how it started off to where it is now, it's very apparent that the goals of what EA wanted for this game have completely shifted, moving away from what was a fun life simulation experience now to just being a build simulator where they can upsell us art assets and build buy assets. And yeah, it's still going strong, but not because it's a good game, but because Sims players have an addiction to buying DLC, because apparently Sims 4 players think it's acceptable to purchase crap like The Sims Journey to Batuu for $17.99 just because it comes with a couple of nice stone floor tile swatches. I'm not saying The Sims has been destroyed by EA in the sense that it's obliterated and it's now gone, but more so destroyed in the sense that it's now popular and alive, but not for the right reasons. With emerging reports that EA and Maxis are working on another game in the Sims series, we are already seeing a notion that this may be an online game, including being a competitive game. And despite all the controversy in the past that EA has had trying to make games online and subsequently ruining them, it's very apparent that they're not learning their lesson yet. We can only hope that the upcoming Sims title is a full experience, not requiring a shit ton of DLC to actually feel full, or God forbid have any loot boxes. With the upcoming indie developed game Paralives, The Sims' competition out, what was once a market controlled by EA, the life simulation gaming genre is expanding. And soon cash grabby things that EA have normalized, like making players pay for weather, will no longer be considered normal. Paralives is already expected to have a base game that comes with seasons, cars, pets, as well as many other features that don't exist in the Sims 4 base game. In fact, I shouldn't really call it a base game because Paralives is supposed to be a full game, not just a base game followed by DLC. In fact, the developers have also stated that although DLC may exist, there will only be few. Honestly, I just think EA are a load of rubbish, and I don't like the way that they treat games. We've already seen City Skylines, a game made by Paradox, pick up the slack from SimCity City, which now is transformed into the biggest city building sim. There is absolutely no reason why the same thing can't happen with the Sims series, and we can only hope that EA will change the game and change their ways before they change the players' minds. But I'm certainly not hopeful at this stage. But one thing I think we can all categorically agree is that actually having competition really does matter. Because when there's competition, there's new innovative ideas. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I do really hate The Sims 4, if I'm being honest. I have a whole video up here as to why I hate The Sims 4 in its current state, so go make sure you check out that one now. See you in the next one.